105.3 The Bear, thebear.com, and
hey, baby, let's go out there. Marking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele. This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint, calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is Monday here on the program. Hope you're okay wherever you might be. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. We'd love to hear from you on the professional door text line 391-0788. What is up, TP? Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are going well for you. All right, here we go. And I hope this week is better than last week. What's up, Rex? How are you? Good morning. all newcomers, please subscribe, and hopefully you stay around. Coming up today at 7, Coach Elmassian is going to join us. We're going to talk to Coach Elmo about it's a topic we've broached on before here about how traditional powers throughout college football, you go back 50, 60 years, why they haven't been able to find their treading and be the same in the modern day. We're going to talk about that, Coach Elmo. Zach Helton's going to join us. He is the voice of Bluefield State College. He's also the voice of the Bluefield Ridge Runners, and we'll get caught up with what's going on in the App League and all that. What is up, Will? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Sorry you feel that way, Anna. I really do. It's very sad that you wake up this early in the morning with so much angst in your soul. It's a damn shame. It really is. Round 2 tomorrow. All right, brother. Well, listen, we'll be thinking about you. Come on, man. You just think about TP. You know, Coach Hicks is like, he's going to get you through. He's up there coaching all this, man. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yes, Spain did win. The World Cup final was scoreless well into the 30-minute extra session. One of the participants, Argentina, did not even register a shot until midway through the 30-minute extra time. Yeah. So 2 things can be true at the same time about the World Cup. The rest of the world will deem it as the most exciting thing. All right, you're gone, Anna. Anna, I hope life starts treating you better, and I hope you find a suitable mate. Whatever insecurities that you have in your life, I really hope that you get a hold on those. I really, really do. Good luck, Anna. Good luck. It is cold. It is cold water, Tech. There you go. See the ice water in my Bigfoot glass. Thanks to Wayne from Ohio. The world can look at soccer and the World Cup as being the biggest event, but I'll take that as a compliment, Jake. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Please subscribe. But America, it's just not for us. There'll be factions of America who try to convince themselves that it's good. Yeah, I'm not a warm beverage. I get that, Rex. Most people are. I'm not a big coffee guy in any way, shape, or form. A lot of people drink warm tea. So I get that. But I need a cold drink in the morning. I don't know. Because everybody's different, right? Doesn't make one person right, the other person wrong. Just everybody's different. So it's over. Spain wins 1-0. We'll see in 4 years. I don't know where it is in 20. When is it? When is it again? 2030. But I think what really stood out to me was how much the entire rest of the world embraced the United States. Whereas you have the big part of people residing in our country who do not embrace the United States. Yeah. I mean, you heard that almost verbatim. What's up, T-Bird? Why does soccer even have a time clock when they render it meaningless? Yeah. So yesterday I was texting with Mike Ashley, and we're both just ranting about the whole thing. And they scored their goal. And here's the basis. This is just the basis of how nonsensical it is to most Americans. Spain scores their goal. And there's this celebration. The whole team comes off the bench. That would have been flagged, wouldn't it, in college football? That would have been flagged. All right, Rex, thanks for stopping by, man. You're welcome anytime. Please subscribe, hang out, whatever you want to talk about, man. Good to have you. Good to have you, Rex. But yet, when the celebration was going on, the clock is still running, T-Bird. And so about 3 minutes of the clock ran off, and they're just celebrating before they line back up to play again. What's up, that guy? Good to see you. Welcome to this guy's channel. Hopefully you'll stick around and subscribe. So my whole thing and what Ashley, Mike, you know how Mike gets. Mike's just like, stop the dang clock. Just stop the dang clock. What are we doing? But no, it's just running. It's just running, and then you have to go back and you have to guess, when did the celebration start? How much extra time are we going to allow? Well, going into the first extra time period, thanks, that guy. Appreciate you, brother. Hopefully you stay subscribed and come back anytime. They said there was going to be 4 minutes of extra time. It ended up being like 9 minutes. It's just that simple little correction would go a long way. You can talk about the flopping and all these other things, which is disgusting and ridiculous. It's laughable, to be honest. But if you would just fix your clock, it would go a long way in this country anyway. Players from both teams were celebrating the goal. I don't get it. I know. What's up, Brian? Great to see you. We're going to talk about the bash. Man, oh, man. We'll get into that in just a second. Great to see you, Brian. The fun part for me as a broadcaster is when you listen to the guys calling the game on Fox, and they get so excited whenever the ball is within 30 yards, and someone says, "Oh, he's sending across," and then somebody just misses it and it just rolls out of bounds. They get so excited, and they have to get excited because they know that there's so little action going on that any little thing has to be built up to the maximum crescendo. From the beaches of Palm Coast, I now put my feet up, relax, and reminisce of seeing my BDST bash buddies, where laughs, stories, and beer were flowing cup by cup. BDST is a lot of people. Morris, first of all, let's go ahead and just get into it. First of all, the bash was awesome on Saturday evening at the Super Bowl. Even the folks, it was very nice of people who could not stay because they already had plans in the evening. We had, I don't know, 4 or 5 families just come up and say, "Hey, love the show." They either had their kids with them, or "Hey, we got to go eat," or "We're getting ready to leave town," or "We're going to a movie. We just wanted to come by and say hello." That was very nice that people took the time to do that, even though they couldn't stay. And so I think we probably ended up anywhere between 40 or 50 people that were part of our BDST bash, and that exceeded what I thought. I was thinking around 20, maybe 25. So it was a lot of fun. Coach Elmo was terrific. As usual, we'll talk to him about it. Got to meet his wife, Janet. Coach Mabry was there. Mike Burnip had to have a late cancellation. But we bowled, and we had great food. And I have to thank Terry and Amanda at the NRV Super Bowl. They were just terrific hosts. The food was delicious. Everybody kept talking about the food. And we had beverage tickets thanks to Morris. And I don't know how to thank Morris enough. He got on this thing early, and everything was set up, and he was taking care of everybody with their beverages and the food. And it was a good time had by all. It went around 9 o'clock or so, a little after 9, like we had talked about. So thanks, everybody. And if this thing's still going throughout the next year, this show, we will figure out maybe a little better way to do it in terms of planning and getting the word out and so forth. But it was terrific all the way around. And the Super Bowl was wonderful hosts. They were just wonderful hosts. We did a little live shot of Amanda, and we showed all the things that they did. They had our logo up. They had a welcome sign. I posted about it on all the socials. So check it out. And thank them again. And Morris, thank you. It was nice to meet your lovely wife. It was outstanding. Yeah, Ron Shelburne, the Hall of Famer, showed up. That was great. Ron wanted to be there, and he was in Chicago that morning, flew back, and made his way over to the Super Bowl. And he was holding court. It's great. Yeah, Elmo was in the food room. People just sitting around. Coach was in his element. Yeah, he's a teacher. It was terrific taking pictures. He was taking pictures of everybody. Coach Mabry. Think about it. Coach Mabry, it was great. Coach Elmo is going to talk about probably today how much he enjoyed meeting Coach Mabry and hearing his stories. Oh, we hoped to ask. I was wondering, TP, if you could come by. No, I know I didn't see Ronnie. He would have come over. Yeah. I'm with you, Namili. Yes, donate $400 to the show. I didn't see Ronnie. First of all, you can't miss him because the hair is impeccable, right? But I did not see Ronnie. Oh, I know, Namili. I know. Yeah, what Coach Mabry does with the old high school videos and highlights, he and that group, they're awesome. Brian says it was really a good time, and now I've got a couple of new buddies, which is always a good thing. That's right. You always need the posse. Well, you have your circle, and then when you need a posse, you need to have other names you can call on. But I think the biggest takeaway of the whole night was my bowling prowess. So I started thinking more about it the next day, like yesterday. I don't think I had bowled since my youngest son was in the 7th grade. So you're looking at, been a long time. He had a birthday party there. And I was a little strange. I was a little concerned about my ability to roll the ball. And I had a really bad first game. Really, really bad first game. I don't know this. I don't eat eggs. I'm allergic. Yeah. I'm allergic. You should have Big Ron show up in a Bigfoot suit. Talk about priceless. Yeah, Ron's a big guy. Still a big guy. He is. Yeah, Tebow. Yeah, Tebow. It was great to see Tebow. He was there bowling. He'd been at the lake all day. He was already like sun scorched, and he was bowling, man. He was just great. Tebow was great. Great to see him. And I think everybody seemed to have a good time, which is the main thing. Everybody was laughing and enjoying themselves. But I bowled a lot better than I thought. As a matter of fact, game one wasn't so good. Game one, so Brandon and I were bowling together, and he was really talking a lot of smack. I mean, it was a lot. There was a lot of bulletin board material for Team Rick. And sure enough, he goes out, and I was trying to figure it out a little bit, and I was really bad in the first game. So he took advantage, and he hung on. I made a rally late. You could kind of see the signs. It's kind of like a football team struggling early in the year with new personnel, new coaches. So you make some mistakes, and it's not quite used to everybody. And then as you get on through the season, you may not quite make the playoffs, but you're feeling like, okay, now we're building towards something. It's kind of like how my bowling game went, because in game two, this guy rolled a 186.
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
Yeah. 186. And at one time, we had the count going because people were toward the end. I had 4 successive strikes.
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
And then I won. I didn't quite bowl as well in the third game, but I still knocked off the Smack Talker brand in 2 games to 1. I think I had like a 151 or something? What's up, Portal Gibbon? Good to see you. Welcome. Please subscribe. Morris says, I didn't worry about their names, just wanted to know their BDSD. I know when people were getting there, you wanted to make sure. Am I buff? I used to be kind of, not as much anymore. Used to be. Yeah, that's kind of the way. Yeah, I saw a couple of faces. And I can see, who are you in chat again? I'm telling you, I understand now when we talk to Amanda, she found her job, dream job. When you're in that place, when you're in the Super Bowl and you're bowling and you're just having a good time with friends like that, how do you not have a good time? How do you not just enjoy it? Like, the bowling alley is really kind of good for the soul, man. That's what she was talking about. Whether it's the pins knocking down, you see the kids over by the game room, you see the axe throwing. And by the way, I don't know if anybody noticed, but toward the end of the night, there was a young lady over and she was in the axe room. And she was destroying the target. It was incredible. I was sitting there. Yeah. I was like, I'm kind of glad we didn't get involved in that as a group. Now, I don't think anybody really drank too much, but kind of glad we didn't have people wanting to go over and break out the axes. I didn't bowl, good thing if they had to replace the back wall. The hardest thing for me, and I think for Brandon, who I was bowling with, was we couldn't get a ball that necessarily fit our finger slots. We were kind of struggling finding one. But I think everybody was kind of similar in terms of what they needed. So when the balls would come back up, we were bowling beside another lane. Brian, I think it was your lane, and everybody was kind of grabbing the same ball. No T-Bird Bigfoot did not come. I was pretty disappointed with that. Matter of fact, extremely disappointed that Bigfoot did not make an appearance. Kind of thought he might. I mean, we had bowling, we had axes, for goodness sakes. We had platters of food. There was a lot there to entice him to show up. He could have just wandered out of the woods and came across 460, right? He could have come up. We could have just stopped by. We would have even promised, look, nobody's even going to try to get footage of you. No footage. Let's just go. Yeah, exactly. He would not. He would just do the old. You remember the old light beer from Miller? Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. Remember those commercials? And Bubba Smith, they were at the bowling alley, which they're still some of the best commercials ever made. And he just put his fingers through the bowling ball because Bubba Smith was ferociously strong. Wasn't that great? Wasn't that great? Just genetics, that's the way it is. A7, I'm as God made me, sir. That's right. Morris found him at the lake. Maybe that's what it was, Morris. Maybe he was just committed to a lake weekend. Man, it is raining outside. So it's kind of strange. You kind of have a light aura in the sky, a little bit of gray, but we have got a heavy downpour outside right now as we speak. I'm glad this isn't an outside show. Wow, we got a nice little shower going out here. Had a lot of them pop through yesterday, as a matter of fact. A lot of showers. I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Reach out for a free quote today. Mark Hundley, 155 Walters Drive. Best chiropractor in the biz. Go by and see him and hang out. Great video. His video has gotten like 300, 400 rewatches. So I hope people locally are watching so they can go. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, title sponsor of this program. Thanks so much to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller. We are presented every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. That video we did up there last Friday has been terrific. Yeah. By the way, my granddaughter that lives in Colorado is a huge Bigfoot fan. So I had to buy her a shirt that she wears often. Great to see you, Thunder, by the way. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Thanks to all those folks. Give them a call. We need a new question, our BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. See if we can come up with a good one. National Bank is my exclusive banking partner for the last 35 years, and it should be yours. It's the show's exclusive banking partner, member FDIC, and they make everything easy. You should go by and talk to some of their folks if you're having some issues with your bank and so forth. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, James Lawson, 540-381-8011, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. I think he was there for a little while. Stopped by to say hi on Saturday at the Bash. Been doing it since 1997, parts for plumbing, windows, and doors. And we've been talking a lot about Professional Door. We always do, sponsored our text line. And a wonderful business. Now 40 years. This is year 40, so they're offering $40 off your preventative maintenance visit. You schedule it in July. You only have about 11 days left. Schedule it in July. Call him up, 674-0008. Very easy. Remember, 3 zeros and an 8. And just get on the list and say you heard us talking about it, and you get $40 off right off the top. So reach out, 674-0008 to Travis at Professional Door here locally. ReadySetFund.com is a series of text messages, so you or your organization can raise money. Floyd County Girls raised $4,300. Reach out to Bob Christ, bobchrist11@gmail.com. Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients. They test to superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. 5-star reviews all the way around. Reach out to the Smith brothers. They are doing a wonderful job for the community, very community oriented. So they always take that into consideration for pricing and so forth. And again, we've been talking about them. Super Bowl, give them a call. NRV Super Bowl 540-382-5525. Over 25 years at that particular location. Remember triangle bowling lanes and all that, the tradition of it. And then here we are having a great time because of them on Saturday night. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel as well. Good stuff. But it was great to see everybody on Saturday who came by. And gave away some T-shirts while we were there, BDST T-shirts, thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. He's at 4377 Lee Highway in Pulaski, by the way. And we want to thank everybody at the chamber. Thanks to Steve. So Jimmy McKenna, who's for some reason he can't chat during the show, but he's usually watching. I don't know what's going on there. But he picked me up a copy of the Phil Steele college football preview. And I appreciate that, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Phil will be here a week from tomorrow. We'll be on the show. Wayne, it was great to see Wayne from Ohio. Everyone accusing me of being a sandbagger. I mean, I don't know how I could sandbag. I was giving factual information that I hadn't picked up a bowling ball, and that's 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But I was outstanding, wasn't I, Wayne? It really was. Just simply outstanding. It was almost like phenomena. Just that phenom, not young, but a phenom that just pops up out of nowhere. And every time I rolled a strike, did you hear, Wayne? Did you hear what they played over there?
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
And then a 151 there in the last game, which is great. But hey, Morris says since we hired Coach Price, VT coach, now that Fuente is showing an ACC conference, shouldn't we just hire him as well? No. Yeah, a lot of people were sounding off on Saturday about that whole thing that showed up on Tech sideline. Rick just didn't want to be disrespectful to his subscribers by winning. Now, really, I just thought my whole plan was to try to just make sure I didn't roll any gutter balls. And I think I had one on a spare attempt. It was one of those dreaded I left 2 pins in each corner. I was like, ooh. So I was trying to hit at least one of the corners, and I kind of overshot it. Dave Matthew, yeah, Wayne comes in. And I hear, and I wasn't really focused on it because I was greeting everybody and we're trying to get things situated. But he goes, hey, man, did you order this or something? He had went and he had played Dave Matthews and Natalie Imbruglia, which we talk about a lot. Yeah, Dave Matthews was indeed blaring out over the speakers, and it was as painful to my ears as I remember. Fortunately, the bowling, the crashing of the pins and the ball hitting the pins, thankfully, it was so loud in there that we did not have any issues with focusing on it too much. It was great to see Wayne from Ohio. Wayne's like 9'7" too. What's up with the height of our listeners? Between Wayne and Tebow, Shelburne, people who came by, I mean, everybody's tall except for me. It was good. So Brian was there, and we were bowling beside each other. He and I are about the same height, so that was pretty good. Bigfoot already had plans at Panera. Yeah, he wanted to challenge and see if his teeth would grow back naturally. I'd never seen someone bowl overhanded. Yeah, the key is, you don't want the bounces to be distracting, and you don't want to get yelled at by Terry, the owner. Remember, there's an episode of The Simpsons, I think, when Marge was tempted to have an affair. She was taking bowling lessons because she was frustrated with Homer, and it was some French dude, and maybe his name was Pierre, and he was trying to hit on her. But in the end, of course, it had a great moral message. She realized she needed to go back to her family. But the ball would bounce down and then she'd get a strike. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I know. Yeah, Janet had a great time. Thanks, everybody who greeted her. She had a wonderful time. My Janet had a great time. She was great. No ceiling tiles that I know of, although there was a group that started bowling before I got there. Brandon and I started, and I looked down and see one of the workers Super Bowl have to go down and go behind the pins. I'm thinking, uh-oh. No, Jake, but I wish I were. Like, if I were a WWE superstar, I'd love to be going through the A&E biography. That'd be great to have my own. Yeah, Brian, we were kind of, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Welcome. Hey, should we start a basketball or volleyball team with this group? Let's go. I should have bowled. Go ahead and take that back. Take that ball back wall out. The lanes are awesome. The scoring system is really easy. They put our show logo up at our lanes. We had like 6 lanes. And now I feel like I want to go back. I want to go back and do it more. To see if I can actually maybe get better at it. And also because I just like the vibe over there. Yeah, Coach Elmo is, isn't he? He is. He still looks great shape. So great to see him. We'll let him tell the story of his weekend and what he did on Sunday. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. No Coach Grant today. Todd's traveling back from his holiday. He's traveling back from his extended vacation, getting ready to get back. And here we are, the grind now, right? July 20th. You're going to have, it's about over now. You're getting ready to segue into August. It'll be here quickly. So he has to get back and get settled, and he's going to try to join us later in the week. This might be the week for Coach Foster. We're trying to get that worked out, so we'll let you know about that. And we've got all sorts of maneuvering we have to do with people's schedules this week. Yeah, it's great over there. It really is. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's a Super Bowl. It was the ideal spot, and I feel like that's where we need to have it. Like, I don't know if there's a better place to have it than over there. If we do this again. Oh yeah, Big Al's boots. So Big Al shows up. Speaking of height, by the way, Hokey Bob showed up too. It's great to see him. It's been a long time. It was great. Like I say, we had, I guess when you count, like I said, the walk-up people who took the time to come over and popped in and left, we probably had anywhere between 40 and 50 people in totality become a part of it. So Big Al shows up. Big Al's about 8'3", continuing the theme. We may not have had Bigfoot there, but we had enough people that if someone mentioned if we had a capable Bigfoot costume, we could have pulled that off with the height and the mass of some of these folks. So Big Al shows up and he's got on these unbelievable leather Virginia Tech boots that he had made actually in Texas. And he had the old VT logo on the toe. Man, it was nice. My only regret, T-Bird, was we had the same weekend of the bash that you were on your beach vacation. Oh, I'm sure you did, T-Bird. Sure you did. Correct, Wayne. They were not black. Imagine that. They were Chicago maroon, burnt orange, and white. I know. Right? Imagine that. He had a pair of custom boots, and he did it in Virginia Tech colors.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
Yeah. Sorry. That wasn't what I was looking for at all. Morris, Hokey Bob, and Sherry. Hokey Bob is the reason I'm on this podcast. That's right. Hokey Bob kind of led you there. It's great to see him. He looks great, by the way. Yeah, the old no guy. Yeah, as soon as a 186 posted, yeah, it was just like. But I started to figure it out as I went along. And the key, you don't ever look at the pins, right? The key is you're just looking to see if you get that little hop and how you start it. It'll end up at its destination if you start it the right way. So the destination, at least for me, I can't just look at the pins and roll it. I have to be looking straight ahead, down at the first couple arrows and all that. I think the bumper stuff. I was proud. Nobody requested the bumpers. I think we would have declined that. I think we probably would have sent people home if they would have said, "Hey, can I have the bumpers?" What was great too, all around us. I mean, you think about it. It was busy all night, but it never felt overcrowded. Everybody was just having a good time. And you didn't see anybody not with a smile on their face. And I kept thinking, she's right. This is it's a happy place. You saw there was large groups of people that came in toward the end when we were packing up. And everybody was just having a great time. No matter who they were with, like, because you're bowling. It was cool. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I've kind of ignored the professional door text on. Sorry, everybody. Yeah. Hey, that's fine. Everybody who's saying sorry you couldn't be there, no worries. Hey, nobody was obligated. It was just something for you if you could make it. And again, that's why I really appreciate everybody who came, and even the people who just stopped by for a second to say hey and tell us how much they enjoyed the show. Yeah, it's like, I'm never going to be a league bowler or anything. I just go because it's just fun. You want to do well. You don't want to roll, miss it. And I missed so many spare opportunities. And I did become, in the very first game, before I really kind of figured any part of it out, I was really good at the 1-9 spare. Couple of my first few rolls, I would hit one in pin, and then I had a 9-pin spare to pick up. But to my credit, I think I did it all 3 times. What's up, Low Country? Thank you. Yeah, we had a good time. Wish you could have been there. Yeah, 186. And everybody saw it, so I'm not just making that number up. Yeah, we didn't have a rosin bag. I noticed that, and that's something Brandon and I were talking about, but there was this little fan that came out. But you're right, I think if you're taking it seriously, you got to kind of get some personal stuff. Randy Thompson, by the way, who was he bowls in a league, and I can certainly see why. He had the best bowling shoes, these lime green bowling shoes. Of course, I'm putting on the old in-house clown bowling shoes. Bowling, drinking, eating, elbows, classroom, all that, raising the roof. Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I think a rosin bag would have been, you're right, T-Bird, would have been helpful. It is just absolutely pouring rain here in Rainer, by the way. Pouring. And again, I'm not sure if this was, is this in the forecast? Yeah, kind of, sort of. All the new folks, please subscribe, like, and share the channel. Good to have you here. Coach Elmo coming up, Zach Helton, voice of Bluefield College and the voice of the Bluefield Ridge Runners. I want to get updated on what's going on in the App League. I had 2 very wonderful years broadcasting Pulaski Yankees games in the App League. And, of course, it's home, Pulaski County, Calfee Park. It was a really nice experience the 2 years I was there. And it was a league that you just care a lot about. And the major league affiliation made it really interesting because they would sign their top draft pick and he would show up in Pulaski both years. Anthony Volpe, who has been with the Yankees big league club now for a while, got his first professional at bat in Pulaski. I called Anthony Volpe's first game. And then they had a catching prospect. I can't remember his name. I don't think he's made it very far up the system, but I wonder if I can find that. I hate not knowing the names. But you see what's going on with how bad baseball is, and that takes you back to a very, very fun time. It really does. Let's see here. Do we have any catchers in the Yankees' top prospects? No. So I guess he probably didn't make it. He kind of washed out. He got to Pulaski anyway, and he got hurt early on. Never really lived up to it. So maybe he didn't get over his injuries. I hate to see that. Anyway, so we'll get caught up with what's gone on in the App League with Zach. Tropical storm in the Panhandle. Okay. T-Bird's getting a new puppy tomorrow. Working on a fitting name. That should be a challenge for the group, T-Bird. Got a Chihuahua puppy coming? Okay, so we need to help T-Bird come up with a name for his puppy. Let's keep this clean. This is family valued entertainment. We don't need to take this to a place we don't want to go with the naming of his Chihuahua. All right, there you go, group. Let's help him out a little bit. Oh, everybody wants me to show the. Hang on, let me grab it here. There we go. There it is. That's what it looks like. So Jimmy said, I got you one with the ACC and with South. He did that just for Jim, Dylan Stewart. So there you go. And Phil will be with us next Tuesday. Didn't look like that was something that was going to happen this year. And a couple of phone conversations, and boom, now it's happening. But that's the Phil Steele College Football Mag, and we'll go through it here on the show like we always do, and we'll let him talk about the ACC. I did want to share, and this thing made its rounds on Saturday. Everybody was going through it. Let's see here. Trying to see who he has in his top 25. Let's see here. Top individual units. Quarterbacks, Oregon. It's amazing. You still look at this and you're just amazed. Running backs. Missouri and Texas, Louisville, Miami, receivers. You got Miami. I mean, you got a lot of Miami shows up high in a lot of these lists, man. Offensive line. There's Virginia, number 10 in the country. Defensive line. Miami in the top 5. See Ohio State listed in all these. Good Lord. Notre Dame. Linebackers number 1, Notre Dame defensive backs number 1. So Notre Dame is going to be poised to have a pretty good year, I guess. Interesting. But we'll check it out and we'll get into it, and we want to talk about the challenges that he has. Trying trying to put this thing together now in the portal. It's interesting in looking at it. He's got the SEC and the Big Ten tied for the toughest conference. He's got the ACC ahead of the Big 12. That's a good sign for all the ACC folks here locally, right? North Carolina's got the toughest overall schedule along with Ohio State. Virginia Tech's at 51. Or did I look at that wrong? Let me see here. Virginia Tech is at 40. The 40th toughest schedule. Sorry. That was opponent's winning percentage. So it's all the same amazing information that he has put forth here. He's got most improved team. He's got Virginia Tech, by the way, his third most improved team. Liberty, Air Force, and he's got Tech. So we'll get into him, get into those questions about that. So, but there you go. It is pricey. Not going to sugarcoat it. It has gone up. You are getting quality. I don't think you need quantity in these magazines, but quality. He's got Notre Dame Power Poll, which I think is probably a pretty good indicator. Notre Dame, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Miami at number 9 of his Power Poll. And Clemson and SMU are pretty tight down at the late 20s, so 22 and 26. So we will we'll figure out what he has to say about all things ACC. So there you go. Just a little review through there, but he's got Virginia Tech as one of his most improved teams. So Morris is saying that Chihuahua should be Rambo. Ziggy. Ziggy Thunder says, Ziggy the Chihuahua. Brett Michaels works for a girl or a boy too. There's Creed. Let me grab Creed before we get Coach Elmo because it's been raining and he is drenched. What? Just get out of the rain, dude. Well, what are you doing? I mean, I don't understand this. So now we have the sun coming up a little bit, and it's still kind of drizzling. It's kind of a cool shot. Dude, you're soaking wet. Don't jump up here. He's trying to look up here now like he wants to jump up here. Yeah, don't jump up here. Don't be jumping up here. You go get straightened up over there. I got a shot of the Chihuahua here. Let's get this thing. Oh, wow. Awesome. Chihuahuas are cool because they're small in size. They're diminutive in size, but they've got this face that look at you like they're just the ultimate badass. Don't they? That's a great picture. Thanks for sharing. Good stuff. Good stuff. You know what I'm saying? They look at you like, yeah, we're small. I know we have diminutive stature, but if you want some, bring it. And they're going to be aggressive when they bark and all these things. Uh-oh. Here he comes. There we go. You're soaking wet, buddy. You want to look at the camera? Look up here. Look up here. Dude, you're right here in the middle of the show. Yeah, you're right here in the middle of live show. Why don't you get over here? I apologize. I mean, this kind of thing happens, you know. Anyway, you can't You can't see it, but you can see the glistening from the lights off of how wet he is. Any event, that's Creed. That's Balboa Creed. Good morning. All right, let me send Coach Elmo his invite here. I want to ask him, I think this will be interesting because we have talked about it a lot with and I haven't been able to really look at the answers and come up with all the different reasons why, but why haven't traditional powers bounced back? They did for years and decades. Through the evolution of the sport, there was always the Nebraskas, the Florida States, who did have a big year, but they've gone away since. Miami until last year had gone away. You know, what's happened to these schools? Clemson seems to be on the cusp of maybe finding out this year if they're going to be able to bounce back, at least under Dabo. And Coach Elmo was at one of these places. You know, he was at Nebraska. He was there. He knows. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Wayne asked T-Bird, aren't you a bassist? How about Flea? Like Red Hot Chili Peppers, double entendre. That's pretty good. I like that. Don't forget that it's 40 years for Professional Door Incorporated, so give them a call. Do it today, 674-0008. You know, Mondays are usually challenging, so give yourself a good start to the day and get $40 off of your preventative maintenance visit for your garage door at Professional Door. Just schedule it. Didn't have to be in July. You can do it in August, September, October, but you have to schedule it in July and tell them you heard us talking about it. 674-0008. And thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, Jason Green, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. And don't forget, we're brought to you each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, and they will continue to be our title sponsor in year 2. So thanks so much to Jonathan Sweet for that assistance. Zach Helton at 7:45 here on the program. Joining us now is that gentleman, and wherever he goes, he's the star of the night. Coach Elmo. How you doing, Coach? Good to see you. Again.
Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for doing great, man. Thanks for coming on Saturday night. It was great to meet your wife, and everybody's just talking about how great it was to meet you and to hang out with you. So that was great.
It was a lot of fun. I appreciate all the efforts you and Morris particularly put into it. It was It was definitely worth the trip, and that's why we came up the weekend. I tried fishing, but man, I'm getting rained out. Janet keeps saying the government's screwing with the weather, and I finally believe her now.
So you called a nice audible yesterday. You were telling me though, so fishing wasn't going to work, and then I didn't want to spoil your story, but you ended up in a place pretty close to where I'm at over here in Reiner.
Went through Reiner, then we went down to Floyd. We've been there. I've been there. I like $1 for each time I've traveled Route 8 to Shooting Creek to Ferrum. You know, I'd be a rich man, and all my days going back from Virginia Tech to Ferrum and Ferrum to Tech and whatever. But we went down to Floyd County, and they've done a heck of a job reinventing that little town. And
yes,
and went to the Floyd County, the country store, and they must have had, I don't know, 8, at least a minimum of 8 acoustic guitar, a couple of banjos, 1 stand-up bass, just playing bluegrass, and the place was slammed. You couldn't sit. There's no place to sit. And there people were flat-footing up there and just having a hell of a time.
Yeah.
And there's no one's got any music reading off. I mean, people just coming off the streets bringing the guitars.
I know.
It was awesome. So we had a blast. It was great. Enjoyed it.
So many talented people. And then you ate at the what was it, the Space Cafe or something, whatever it's called?
Space Cafe. It's across somewhere between Key West and 1960 San Francisco. And the food was excellent. It was good. We had an omelet, but it was like the coffee was great. We walked by, we go, let's take a shot at this. And people started coming in. It was crazy. I sent you those pictures. So,
yeah, they were great. They were awesome.
We had a blast, and came back to the Highlander and went upstairs on the restaurant. Great, that restaurant. A little pricey, but the food's good.
Yeah.
Food is good. And the students are working it. A lot of the people up there know you.
Do they? Well, good.
Yeah,
good.
A couple of students know you. I mentioned the name, and they didn't throw me out, Rick.
Hey, that's a good sign. They didn't just toss. Your wife could stay, but you got to go. You mentioned that guy.
And then we got to see a little bit of the sunset on the rooftop, and it's such a beautiful view, up top there. And so we had a blast. So we're heading back out this morning after the show. So, but that was great. Really enjoyed it. I'll tell you, meeting Big Al. I forgot, and I knew Eddie Farrell extremely well. I mean, we were very close, even before I got to coach up there. I knew Eddie back when he got the job. And what was it? Gee whiz, 73. I came from Arkansas, and hadn't realized that Big Al was part of the training staff at Virginia Tech. And we talked about a gentleman named Ed Motley, and he was the trainer for Jerry Claiborne back in the late 60s and stayed on till he retired, I think, through Jimmy Sharp. So that was kind of fun. It brought back great memories for me, and these gentlemen who were, and you well know, Rick, that's the one thing about sports, just the associations of the people.
100%, yeah.
And especially when it comes down to football. Janet, it's Shag World meets Jock World, and she'd never been around the Jock World. But whenever she gets around it, she is always impressed with the people, the sincerity of the people, and the humbleness of the people. Football is a very humbling sport in all facets. So we had a blast. And I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
No, it was great. It was great. And thank you again. Yeah.
Appreciate meeting Janet.
Yeah.
Enjoy your wedding gifts.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for that, man.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, she definitely will. She loves the vino. The vino is so that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah,
so,
good deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Coach, I want to talk to you a little bit about, because we talk about a lot here on the show, and it's something that I don't really have the answers for. You can look at different aspects of it, but there's traditional powers in college football that just have gone through a lot of head coaching hires, a lot of eras. They just haven't been able to get back into the limelight and be consistent. They may have a good year, maybe a good 2 out of 3 years, but then they silently fade away. And we see newer programs step up, and we see the ones that, have the support financially stay. What's going on with some of these programs, even like a Notre Dame, a Nebraska, Florida State, Clemson, some of these programs that Oklahoma that just have they're just okay. They're no longer what they used to be, as many of us saw when we were growing up.
Well, you got to take college football, the history of it, in my 4 decades of doing it, late 60s, my familiarity from the late 60s up till the present time. And, and you look at the changes in the NCAA and the rules, which, all those rules, each rule they put in affects college football one way or another. And you find how to, how can you bend them? How can you break them and not get caught and whatever? But you look and you got to sit there and say, okay, pre-NIL portal. I can't remember specifically what year that thing went into, I call Full Metal Jacket, but let's just say the consistency in college football, if you really look, Rick, last 30 years, 40 years of the national champions, in college football. The same teams keep showing up, and maybe
Yeah.
there's a pop-up team. Now, nothing, but you look, okay, let's start with the NIL era and the portal. Indiana winning the national
Exactly.
championship undefeated.
Right.
Duke winning consistently. Virginia turning it around after three disastrous seasons, plus the shooting scenario. Next thing you know, Virginia's winning 11 games. Duke's in the championship. Indiana's winning the national championship. Texas Tech is in the playoffs. JMU is in the playoffs. It's like, what's going on with college football? This is the NIL portal is a college football era in itself, and it's just beginning. The shrapnel and who's going to be the pop-up team, and there's going to be more percentages of pop-up teams than ever before because of NIL and the portal. Okay, some people, when all of a sudden it's just because it's going to be a matter when Notre Dame decides to be good through the administration, it'll be good. They'll make that decision. When they hired Lou Holtz, they made the decision they wanted to get back to the national hunt.
Right.
Next thing you know, Lou gets a couple of Prop 48s, Tony Rice, and they all graduated. They all graduated. Even George Welsh had flexibility in admissions that they never had before because Ralph Sampson came along and the UVA people, they really enjoyed this winning. Oh, my God. We can win. And this is too much fun. Well, let's try this in football. And next thing you know, they hired George, and George, had probably the highest graduation rates, which nobody cares about anymore. But at the time, 3 out of our 4 captains were all in graduate school. And back in the day, that was like a notch in your belt for your credibility academically, But when you look at what happened, the only biggest school I think that has been a consistent failure that I can speak of is Nebraska.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the national championships over the last 30 years, Rick, there's only, there's that 10% that keeps showing up, and some people will go in and out, but back in the 90s, each decade, there's always, whether it's Florida State, Miami, Oklahoma, then Nick gets to LSU, and then now it's LSU, which becomes really relevant in the national picture, which they weren't. They hadn't won a national championship since '58. Hell, when Nick took it over, they only had like 3 or 4 winning seasons in the last 5 or 6 years. Things of that nature. But what happens is this, Rick. The recruiting affects the biggest number of things is recruiting and the rules. That's what affects. That's what tips the college football. Bottom line, what rules are and college football? When I was coaching, the most scrutinized of all the sports that the NCAA had their umbrella around. And now think about this again. NIL era, there is no NCAA. There are no rules. There are zero rules.
Right.
Zero. Certain numbers you have to adhere to. But some of them I'm not even familiar with anymore. Numbers of official visits that you could take, when you could take them, things of that nature. But the pre-NIL era and pre-NIL era / portal is you got 2 different. It's not even close. College football. So you got a school like Nebraska, who I was coaching at. Here's what happened, Rick. Okay, Coach Saban. Think about this. When this is 2000, so this is 26 years ago. And at the advent, when the computer age came in, all of a sudden, those 16 millimeter evaluations became easier because the availability of information, there was so much information on kids. You could, you have cell phones, you've got computer thing, and that you could, and not necessarily 347, 247, that crowd. But I'm talking about immediate availability of high school tape. I didn't have to wait for the high school coach to send me a copy, a 16 millimeter copy, which you never got, or a DVD or a VHS, which they can make copies or the DVDs.
Sure.
We could, but we had to wait for them to send them to us, or we had to go visit them to go get them, So you think about that evaluation prospect. Where opposed to now, Hey, look at the portal. You got the PFF system, which is you have availability of every college game in the country.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah.
So here's my point on it, Rick. You know me, I'll ramble a little bit as I get.
No, this is good. This is good.
The bottom line is when you back, and it was you before you enter your senior year, and this is the 1990s to to 2000s, late 2000s, and then it started changing. Then as soon as the NIL came in, but prior to that era, those 2 decades, when the acceleration in recruiting just exploded because you have the information you were able to get was like ridiculous. From 16 millimeter to VHS to DVD. Okay. And so, so what happens is you had the rule was, and here's what's Coach Saban's rule, was very appropriate. You had, in order, he said, the great players, like for me, Andrew Whitworth. I'm recruiting Andrew Whitworth out of West Monroe High School, All-American tackle. For us at LSU, he was Nick's 5-star. We didn't care about the list, but he was a great, great, great high school football player and a great student. Okay? As Nick said, you're not going to get this. He has to be on our campus a minimum of 3 times prior to his going into his senior year. If he's not on, which means that's their dime.
Right.
You can't pay for it. You can't pay for it. Nothing. There's no hotel. There's no nothing. Hell, they even had to pay for some of the meals you provided. It was just, there was so restrictions were unreal.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about now. It really is crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So now the 3 times were 1, winter. We had what's called a junior day, 2 junior days going into their senior year. Winter in February. Once the signing date was over with that next weekend, you had a big Saturday. It wasn't the full weekend. Most of them people came in, they drove. Some flew, but very rarely, because that was the expenses of that, getting a hotel, blah, blah, blah. That's on their dime. Okay. So you had those, you get to go to a basketball game, and you had a big recruiting weekend and visiting with their, meeting with Coach Saban and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when the offer gets extended at that time. If we were like Andrew Whitworth, he gets offered then. They will call hard offers and soft offers. You can offer them. Some kids are going to call in to commit. We're not taking it. Just because you offer it, that doesn't mean that you're going to take the commitment.
Well, that's right. That's right.
So I call them hard and soft. Most of the time, Coach Saban, we're dealing with hard offers. So a guy like Andrew Whitworth, he gets offered on that first visit. Then spring game, you got to get him to either a spring practice or the spring game. He wanted, this is the accountability you as an assistant working for you. It better be there. If they ain't there, and then your camps back in the day when they had week camps or 3-day camps and they stayed overnight, to get them not only to evaluate them, but some to evaluate, but mostly to get them accustomed to the kind of program that they're going to get into. And Coach Saban, we worked those kids so hard, we were scared to death. Assistant coaches, we're going to lose these kids. He coached them like the off-season program for his own LSU players. He wanted them to know what they were going to get into. And so those were the 3 times, Rick, that you had to get them to the campus. And I, after I went to LSU, when I was at Nebraska later on, I held that rule. But here's the deal. So basically what you're talking about, Rick, is that 3 to 5 hour, no more than 5, no less than 3, the radius of football recruiting in your area, so they can get in the car and drive. They can get up in the morning, Saturday morning, and be on your campus by the time, 10 or 11 o'clock rolls around when all your festivities begin. And the basketball game is usually late afternoon or whatever. Okay, no problems. All right. Then it got accelerated. You had to do that before their junior year. It went from, because of all the availability of tapes that you had on these kids, now it's accelerated to the junior year, before the junior year. Minimum of 3 visits before they enter their junior year. So all that got accelerated. So when you're looking at it, back in the 2000s, who were the football schools? You better have been coaching in the state of Ohio, great football. You better have been coaching in Georgia. You better have been coaching in Florida. You better have been coaching in Alabama. You better have been coaching in Louisiana. And you better have been coaching in Texas, because that's your footprint in those areas, even overlapping some of those states by where you were in proximity. So you could, so all of a sudden, like Florida, with Andrew Whitworth, Florida was his number 1 school before Nick got there. Rudy Neiswanger, another great player, 10-year pro prospect, academic All-American. Texas A&M was his number 1 school. And those schools had them on the campus in, basketball game, spring practice, summer camp.
Yeah.
So that's how it went. So what happened is you're coaching at Nebraska, the state of Louisiana, you keep every kid in the state of Louisiana at LSU, you got a chance. And then you go cherry pick nationally. You keep Alabama football is good football, high school football. You keep every kid in that state, okay, whether you're Auburn or Alabama, it's just like Virginia Tech, and the state of Virginia. These are spring practice states where football is important. In the state of Ohio, in Massillon, Ohio, every baby that was born, I don't know if they still do it, in Massillon, there's a football in their crib, if it's a male. And that's fact. It used to be like that. I coached a kid from Massillon.
Every hospital, they just put a football in there?
In Massillon, Ohio.
That's cool. That's cool.
Baby's born, they put a little orange football because they were the Tigers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, orange and black were their colors. They got a little orange football. That's the Tigers. So that's how important football was.
That's
and
cool.
Then you sit there. So you look at if you're not coaching in those states, you're not going to get the top play. You're not. There's certain schools. You get them on the official visit, and you may get them. But if you ain't got them on the campus prior to that, that's the first time they're meeting everybody. You ain't going to get a chance. And then we don't forget, it's not just the kid; it's the mom and the dad.
Yeah,
the brothers and the sisters. But remember, this is on their dime. Their dime. No reimbursement for gas. He even had to pay to get the meal. Couldn't give the meal for free. They had to, so they had to pre-register. And then going to camp. We couldn't pay them to come to camp. So they're shelling out that. So you find out right away if you're in their top 5. They're 5 visits. And you got to be in the top 3 when it's all said and done. To the 3rd visit, you better be in. Before they officially visit, if you're not in the top 3, it's a crapshoot. Well, then you look at Nebraska, state of Omaha, state of Nebraska. You got Omaha's going to have a couple of kids, but that's it. They got to go from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean.
It's got to be California. They used to dominate California, didn't they?
California, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. The United States was the footprint in Nebraska. You look at their rosters. Barry Alvarez played in Nebraska. He's from Pennsylvania. When Devaney, and this is back in the 60s. Okay. And now what happened was, that's what happened in Nebraska, where all of a sudden, now I was fortunate when I was recruiting at the state of Virginia for Nebraska, we had, can't remember the kid's running back name, he's from Chantilly High, ended up going to Penn State, playing for the Washington Redskins for 5 or 6 years. Great Royster, Evan Royster, great running back at Chantilly, great running back. Coach, I knew the coach. He goes, Phil, he's not staying in the state. He's not staying in the state. The parents were, the mom was a teacher at Chantilly. Dad, I forget what he did. He called me up. I talked to the coach because I was recruiting the East Coast from Nebraska. He goes, Phil, he's not going to Virginia Tech. He's not staying in the state. He goes, he's going to visit Oklahoma. So he said, well, if he's going to visit Oklahoma, might as well visit Nebraska.
There you
Oklahoma,
go. You're
Nebraska.
right there. Yeah.
So he was ready. He made that commitment to himself that he was never going to visit in state. And it came down to Nebraska, Penn State. And we ended up losing him to Penn State. But he came out on an unofficial visit in the summer. It's a rarity. I mean, so that's what happened to Nebraska. All of a sudden the footprint, because of the acceleration in the evaluation process and that rule of having at least 3 times or 2 out of 3 before the official visit. I'm talking about the program turning kind of players. That you have a chance to win national championships or a conference championship with. So, and now how did Tom Osborne get away with it in the night? Well, they had the Prop 48.
Yeah, and a selling point there. That's what I was going to ask you about.
Prop 48.
What is it about Nebraska? Right.
That weren't eligible to spend a year. And he had a ton of props. When I got to Nebraska, when Bill Callahan, they took Prop 48s, were done away with. Washington State's program crashed and burned because they were a bunch of Prop 48s. Because they weren't beating Washington on the kids in the state of Washington. No. They're going to California. They're not going to beat SC in California unless the kid was academically ineligible. But West Virginia, same thing. Don Nehlen, that Doc Holliday get down to Florida, get a bunch of Prop 48s. They're great players. That doesn't mean that. And a lot of them graduated. Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Tony Rice was a Prop 48. Great kid. Because most of it was stemmed because of the SAT. It wasn't
exactly. Yeah, it was one test. That's right. One stupid test. Right. And they labeled those kids. Yeah.
When they asked me my SAT, I told them, they said, was that math? I go, no, that was both of them.
That was both of them. Well, the whole Nebraska thing's striking because I went out there to visit with Richie Davis 2008, and that's when Virginia Tech, it was the first of the 2 games. Yeah. On a Saturday night, nationally televised, and Tyrod Taylor, Tech won the game, I think, 35-30. And then after the game, and you know this because you were there, Coach, Nebraska fans are great. They're honest. They're such great fans. But they were just like telling us, and now that's when I really started thinking about it. They're like, wow, we used to be able to get players like your quarterback, talking about Tyrod. We used to get linemen like Virginia Tech had. We wish we could get back to where Coach Beamer
has built. I told Bud?
And I was like, wow. Yeah.
You know what I told Bud? Before they went out there? You know what I told Bud? Slap the end off that helmet. And just another football. The Ghosts aren't playing.
That's right.
They're not playing. Even at Miami. I was telling them, slap the U off the helmet. The Warren Sapp's not on that field anymore. Ray Lewis isn't on the field anymore. You look at the great players. Turner Gill is not coming out of that tunnel.
No.
Okay, Mike Rozier, he ain't coming out of the tunnel.
No Dean Steinkooler.
Dave Remington, Steinkooler.
They're not there.
We had Steinkooler's son play for us, and he was not his daddy.
No.
So that program crashed and burned. Now, maybe 10 years from now, because of the NIL and the portal, they may be able to bounce back. But prior to the NIL portal, that program is dead in the water in terms of they'll go win 7 and 8 games, but the expectation to win a national championship, you look at, and then they hire Bo Pelini, and he goes on and wins 10 games, gets them to the Big 12 playoffs and Big 10, and then they fire him because they didn't like his personality. They didn't like it.
Right.
And you look at what Rick Riley, Scott Frost was a disaster. Hey, Bill Callahan, we won 9 games. They wanted our ass fired. And we went to the championship game against Oklahoma and lost to Auburn in the Cotton Bowl. We won 9 games, won the Big 12 North. And we were fortunate that we had to go junior college kids because we couldn't get the Prop 48. So we got a quarterback named Zach Taylor. That was the Big 12 Player of the Year offense. That's how we won. But that was Nebraska's problem. Okay, how could you get as sophomores going into the junior year from New Jersey to come fly out and unofficially visit 3 times? Not once, 3 times.
Yeah.
You got them. I got them 1 time. I had a kid from Waldorf, Maryland, a corner that came out to the camp. Coach brought him out. I told the coach, I said, look, we'll pay you. We'll kind of pay you enough where you can get his plane ticket. Kind of circumvented the rule. Okay. And that's what happened a lot of times. Coaches will either come out, work the clinic, or work your camp. Come out to a clinic or work the camp. And next thing you know, the kid's able to get on a plane because he can get some help with the extra money you give him. That's how we used to bend that envelope a little bit. Hopefully the NCAA doesn't come in and look at your books. But that's what happened to Nebraska. It happened in Notre Dame. That same thing happened in Notre Dame. The same thing. Exact same thing happened in Notre Dame. And then think about it. Coming out to a basketball game in February? Are you serious?
Yeah, right. Right.
That used to be UNC's hook. UNC, when Dean Smith and Dooley were there and Dick Crum were there in the state of Virginia, everybody's visiting Carolina. Why? Go see a basketball game. Everybody. And that's gone away.
Yeah.
Look at the demise of Carolina. They can't come in the state of Virginia and get the kids they used to get. They get Clemson beats their ass in Charlotte, and Michael Jordan ain't there to bring them down.
Because Tom Osborne and Frank Beamer were really good friends. They were really close. Wasn't Nebraska kind of loosely the model that Coach Beamer wanted Tech to kind of become? Did you ever talk about that with you?
No.
Did you? I couldn't remember. Somebody told me that one time, and I never did get a confirmation.
No, he never.
He never did use that. Okay.
We were trying to model. Our model, of course, was the football team we wanted to become defensively was the University of Washington. Period. End of story. The program we wanted to be was Miami.
Yeah.
When I got there in the spring, this isn't never and always, but 90% of the film that the kids watch are either Washington or Miami. That's the only thing we would show. The image. This is what you're going to be like.
Those were the two identified. Those were the identities you wanted on each. Okay.
Because I brought the Washington because I took the step. I told Dave Brain when I got the job here, I'd been out to Washington twice, studying their defense when I was at Syracuse. I made my whole notebook up. Jim Lambright gave me everything, how to game plan, how to practice, Don James's practice philosophy, how they practiced it. I'm not going to go into those details.
Sure.
And when I got the job, and Frank really loved it. He loved it. It was a wide tackle 6, but it had a little more method behind the madness. Okay. And so I told Dave Brain, I said, hey, I got to bring the whole staff out here. I want Bud visiting with Jim Lambright, who was the linebacker coach. I didn't need to visit with anybody. I need Todd Grantham visiting with Randy Hart. I need to get these coaches with you. He didn't have the money to do it. I had enough miles on flight miles, had enough that I paid for.
That's cool.
I told Dave, I said, Dave, just help me with the hotel. I'll take care of the rest. I'll feed them and fly them out there.
So everybody was able to go out there. That's cool.
Out of my own pocket. I took that staff out to Washington so we could put this thing in. And let me tell you, you put on the university, because it was the personnel too. You remember the day Steve Ettman? You remember that name?
Yeah, Steve Ettman.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, J.C. Price was our Steve Ettman.
Yep.
Remember Donald Jones from the state of Virginia?
I do. Yeah. Right.
Well, MVP in the Rose Bowl on the national championship team. Went out there as a fullback. Went to Washington as a fullback. They recruited him from Virginia
and flipped him to a linebacker. Yeah.
They didn't. So Lambeau took him as a defensive end.
Yeah.
So you guess who that was for us? Cornell Brown. And I studied their personnel. A kid named Hoffman was their middle linebacker, all Pac-10 kid. He was a Stanford type talent, not an SC talent, not a UCLA talent. That was our George Del Rico. So
a lot of parallels. That's interesting.
Oh no, we made damn sure our starting 11 guys they couldn't play for Washington at that time, but it was like their little brothers.
Yeah,
in every position. And in order to do that too, as like I said, I came out of my pocket to get them out there. If you watch our tapes, you watch our games, especially the Indiana, Virginia, you watch the games that we played, not even the ones we won, even the Miami game, you swear you're watching the University of Washington, not only in the schematics, but the players.
But in the
and
players.
How they played the game.
Right.
And the practices were exactly the same. Exactly the same. So, that's, but it goes in cycles. Now the NIL, I mean, look at the national championships. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Clemson made a run. Think about the ones that made dents. Oklahoma, I got my list. Oklahoma, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Southern Cal. They all made a run at it. But the consistent ones were Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, LSU, and Texas. Well, Texas only won one. But those, I don't give a crap if they went to 60 playoff games. Those guys are going to be left standing. That list is they're going to be left standing. And maybe in Indiana, who's going to be the one? Could it be South Carolina this year? Hell, who knows? Coach Signetti has screwed it up for every coach in America.
Yes.
Just every president and AD is going, Indiana, the losingest college program. For them not to get the ESPN Team of the Year is a travesty.
No, that award show's a joke. That the whole show's a joke. But
it's not like, it's not like they lost the game. They went undefeated.
Correct.
He has screwed this thing up so bad in the portal NIL era.
Can Florida State and Clemson, under their current leadership, get back? We know they have – clearly Florida State doesn't have the advantages, the resources they wanted to claim at one point, because that's why Norvell is still there. Dabo has been very resistant toward evolving at all. He spent the entire ACC media kickoff talking about what they used to be. People took note. Kind of dissed his quarterback a little bit. I mean, it feels like maybe changes have to be made there before.
Let me say this to you.
And I know it sounds crazy at Clemson in particular, but that's
when I was at Nebraska. Here's what's the difference. When I was at Nebraska, we played Southern Cal with their heyday when they won the national championships back in the 2000s. Played them twice. Went out there and played them. Gave them a hell of a game. They came to our place, kicked our ass. We played Oklahoma every year. And let me tell you, you turn that film on back in the early 2000s, Oklahoma, when they're in the championship games and winning the old Big 12 championships, beating Texas's ass.
Yeah.
Okay. Their offensive line was unbelievable. Oh, it was asses hash mark to hash mark. Both teams. Then all of a sudden, that went south for them. The offensive line for both SC and Oklahoma. When that went south, the programs went south. Georgia. I visited Georgia when Todd Grantham was the D coordinator, when Mark Richt was there. And they're practicing for the bowl. I went down to visit them. I went back, I told Todd, I said, Todd, that's a line's horrendous for SEC. It's not very good. I know what we had at LSU. But they had great skill. They had Aaron Henry as a quarterback. Their skill people were so good, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Their offensive line was average. Kirby Smart gets here. What changed? Offensive line.
Yep.
When you look at these teams, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Texas, you look at those teams that have won national championship, offensive line. Clemson's offensive line was average, but they had two great quarterbacks.
Two great generational quarterbacks. Yep.
Yeah. And Miami, one thing, what he's done in Miami, his offensive line, it ain't even close, because even when they were winning national championships, their offensive line was a weakness, but Erickson ran the spread offense, had great skilled kids.
Right.
Next thing you know, they play Alabama for the national championship, and they got their ass kicked.
Exactly.
Okay. And we kicked their ass, except they won the game, because their offensive line was horrendous, talent-wise. They really were. So when you look at that's the one position now, and then the other thing that changed in recruiting is the other thing that changed. Talk about accelerating. That really changed in the 2000s, and Nick changes is the mid-years. Now you got to get them in January. That's your sophomore year. Get them to your campus 3 times before their junior year, because when they go play their senior year, they're done in December. They get to practice for the bowl. Practice for the bowl, not just the week when you get to the site. The mid-years get to come to your campus and practice the 2 weeks before you head to the site. Okay? And now the offensive linemen and quarterbacks are coming in January. Their clock started in January. They got the winter program, spring practice, summer development, preseason. Are you kidding me? And then you hear the announcer, oh, he's a true freshman. Yeah, right. A redshirt freshman.
Right.
So, all those things have changed. That the cycles have gone with the rules. Now official visits, Rick, I've heard this, Rick. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard from coaches, it probably there's some half truths to this, I'm sure. Like, oh, Rick, you want to visit? We've got $10,000 coming your way, so you can visit. Yeah. So what's that mean? Hey, pay for the plane tickets, and everybody and anybody can come.
Anybody you want to come with you? Yeah. No, that happens. That's true. It's happening. It happens in the Big South, Coach, in basketball. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Well, I've heard that they're offering kids money to visit.
Yep.
So if really, if you've got the resources, and let me say this, the money doesn't guarantee anything. Never. There's no guarantees in life except taxes and debt, as we all know. The money gives you a chance. The more money you have, the better your opportunities. Now, I don't care how much Florida State has, but the last 2 quarterbacks, they're bad investments.
Very bad investments. Yeah.
NC State prior to this year, NC State's quarterbacks, bad investments. They got the Armstrong from Virginia. They took the kid from Coastal, and they were disasters. Now they got a kid that they can kind of like a Lenora Sellers type kid at NC State. That be careful, Virginia, because that kid's good enough to beat you. Which is what
I'm basing Tech having, I think, pretty good success this year because we know their quarterback is good.
You got a chance.
That's going to be an investment that's going to pay off.
Well, here's the thing about it, Rick. When you look at a kid like Pabula or a kid like Grunkmeyer, here's what the difference between a Tyrone Drones. Look at the snap. It's Frank Signetti. This is what I've heard in the portal. Frank Signetti is a minimum of a 2-year starter. 18 games of start, somewhere between 18 and 20, whatever games of starting for your team. Okay. And they better come from a winning program. Now you take those 2 things. That's what I always should say about log jams. All it takes is one log being removed and that shit's flowing. Okay. Well, once you start having that parameter, some exceptions to the rule, but if you say, no, this is what we're doing. He better have won 8 or 9 games in this program because that means he's getting coached hard. You ain't coming out of soft-ass programs winning in college football.
Yeah.
You may do it. You may win games, but you ain't winning. You're not developed. You look at Kirby Smart. You go to their practices. You go to a Nick Saban Alabama practice. Like Kirby, I've heard Kirby say this on a YouTube podcast. Kid came in his office and said, Coach, practice is too hard. I'm going to go in the portal. He said, where are you going? If you tell me, you end up telling me where you're going because we're going to put you on the schedule.
Let me know where you might.
Let me know where you're going. That's like when I evaluated this one portal kid from New Mexico.
That's great.
This kid from Texas, El Paso, big drink of water. He said, yeah, Louisville offered him $250,000 or $300,000. I said, well, shit, schedule Louisville. Where the damn.
Because if they're recruiting him for that, you know that the rest is probably not going to be really good either. Yeah.
Get him on the schedule.
Great stuff, Coach, as always, man.
Well, so that
great.
That's what's happened in the Nebraskas, particularly, and I can speak from experience. But everything in the pre-NIL was all based on, again, the whole philosophy: get them on the campus in their junior year before the senior year 3 times. Then it became sophomore year. So how could you do that? Well, you better be coaching in those states because they're the football states. High school football, spring practice states. You go to Texas, oh my God. Teachers, they got cars. They got a car, they got their own secretary, walk in, transcript, tape, boom, everything right there. They don't teach. It's mini college. It's like it's like coaching at Roanoke College. You're not teaching. You just, and you're recruiting too. Those guys do recruit.
Right.
So, and then, that's what happened. You had a coach in those states, and you still do today to a point. However, now I can get them to the campus. I can get them to the campus, official visits in the spring, but still the advantages are still with those people in those states. And even the state of Virginia, you could throw in there to a point.
Yeah. Right.
But, but when you go to Florida, if you're recruiting Florida and Texas, you think it's easy. Your day at Texas, they'll practice at like 6 in the morning. Then they'll have a class at 12 o'clock, which they'll make a decision on how. It's like 3 a days. It's morning practice, noon, and afternoon. and they'll vary their practice time. So college coaches, let me tell you, your day starts at 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and you're not getting back to that hotel till 9 o'clock at night. And then when you get back to that hotel, you got to get the next day prepared. You got to write letters of thanks. You got to get back and watch all this tape. And you're not going to bed till 1 o'clock. And that's a 3-week grind. And with Coach Saban, here's the thing with Coach Saban. This is why head coaches, this is why he's ahead of everybody. In the spring, Rick, Todd will tell you. He'll tell you. Usually people will come back, the coaches will come back off Friday or maybe Saturday, get back, stick around in their home, and either Monday morning or Sunday hit the rodeo. When you got back Saturday, 7:30 in the morning Saturday, you're meeting to talk about the week. And you didn't get out of that meeting till 2:30. So you got Saturday night family time, and that's it. If you're back, and if you're on the road because you had to be there Saturday, you were on not a Zoom call, but you were on a teleconference for the next 6 hours because you had to go over who you see, who you offer. It was, and he did that every weekend in the spring.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was and if you're recruiting Texas or Florida or Louisiana, the spring football states, you better hope those states you got that don't have spring football, because your day it's brutal.
Brutal indeed.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
Well, great, man. Thanks, Coach. That's a great breakdown. I'll probably need you later in the week, man, if you're around. We got a lot of people.
How about my Red Sox? 13-game win streak. They're 6 games out. They were 14 games out.
They hired the right guy, right? They got rid of the right guy.
Yeah. What I tell you, Alex Cora, I said it, tell Janet to tell you, 2 years ago, I said, they got to fire this guy.
Yeah, they did, and now here they are.
He's more worried about politics than he was, and he only won the World Series because he cheated. Because he came from Houston. They got caught, and he hadn't won since. They were undisciplined in the field.
Yep, 100%.
Thanks for letting me have the rant.
Thanks, brother. Listen, and great to see you at the Bash, man. It was a great time. Thanks so much.
Take care, Rick.
All right, man. Be good. There you go. Coach Elmo. Great stuff. He was at one of the places there. He saw it firsthand. What happened in Lincoln. What happened? They're a great example. What happened? Great stuff. Don't forget, we're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller. Again, they will return as our title sponsor coming up. It's exciting. Little River Heating and Air. 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Give them a call, 553-2971. We got to come up with a great question this week. PDST Fan Question of the Week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. Been with them for 35 years. We've been telling you about Professional Door Incorporated, residential, commercial garage doors, $40 off. Call them up, 674-0008. They cover a lot of ground. Get your garage door preventative maintenance done. Schedule it in July for whenever, but you have to schedule it in July and tell them that you heard us talking about it, and then you'll be good to go. ReadySetFund.com. Reach out to the website or to Bob Christ, how a series of text messages can help you, your organization, raise a lot of money quickly. Bob Christ, CRST11 @gmail. Sundown Electric, one of the best reputations of any business in our area, down in Elliston. 5-star reviews, great communication, low costs, and pristine work. And don't forget the NRV Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Thanks again. The bash was awesome, and we appreciate everything that they did. And Morris, if you're still around. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here in Reiner, 540-200-8294. Mark Hundley, McClellan Chiropractic. Video's gotten over 400 rewatches whenever they're showing you all the technology. Go get your back cracked in all the right ways. And thanks to James Lawson, Mobile Home Supply, 540-381-8011. Joining us now on the program. There he is. Zach Helton joining us here on a Monday. What is going on, brother? How are you?
You caught me mid-cough there. I apologize. My makeup folks are still in
where's
bed.
the makeup gal? Yeah, I don't see her.
Yeah, she's still in bed. I've got this new microphone, but I couldn't get my audio to work, so I'm coming through the speakers. So hopefully this is I'm not going to blame you for this, but it's been a while since I've been on, so I forgot how to do this. So
it's my fault. I'll tell you. I get blamed for a lot of things, so I'll take it. Don't worry about it. Now you sound great though on our end. You sound great.
Oh, I don't feel like I do, but I appreciate that. What?
No. What's going on with you? I tell you what. One thing that I want to talk about is a league that Matter of fact, I think that's when you and I finally met in person. Was your visits to Calfee Park when I was calling the Yankees games, and you're still there with the Bluefield Ridge Runners, and you're the voice of Bluefield. There you go. See, on cue. Let me ask you. So how have you seen the league adapt? It was a huge blow losing the major league affiliation of one of, I don't know whatever it was, 12 or 15 when baseball did their little scourge of talent, which still to me makes no sense. But hey, it is what our Manfred does, things that make no sense. How has the league now, we're 3 or 4 years separated from that? Hey, you think the league has found its footing a little bit better now? What's your experience been like in Bluefield?
I'll preface this. There's some great people who work in the league, and there's still some great baseball. You can go out to Calfee Park or Bowen Field or any Abbey League park any night of the week and have a great experience. Very inexpensive, very family friendly. But I've seen this year in particular, like last night, Bluefield won. They had 25 runs, and a lot of that you can argue is not good baseball. Some of the pitching has to be cleaned up. I know a lot of the umpires are on a lot of pressure to keep that tight strike zone. So it's one of those things. Baseball is a game of feel, as you know, Rick. Getting late in the game when someone's beating someone by 20 runs, it's okay to extend that strike zone a bit. And with these umpires being graded the way they are, they can't quite do that because that deviates from their grade. So, they're trying to move up just like the players are. So that kind of puts things in a weird situation. But there's still some great baseball in this league. There's some great players. There's a few, things I would like to see cleaned up that could make the Appalachian League even better. But I don't have that power. But, I think a lot of kids come off a very long college season, and then they don't quite understand what it takes to commit to the entire summer season. Some stay, some go, and there's a lot of roster turnover, and I don't know how to alleviate that. But other than that, any night at the ballpark is a good night at the ballpark. I say, you can go and you can take a family of 4 and spend maybe $20-$30. And I don't know anywhere else you can do that and have a good time for 3 to 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's right. Well, it's interesting. How have the crowds been overall for you in Bluefield the last couple? I know in Pulaski, they've been down. I talked to a lot of people up there. A lot of people have not renewed their tickets over the years and so forth. What's it been like? Have you been able to kind of maintain consistency crowd-wise?
Really, for Bluefield, we've maintained. We're probably in the 800,000-900,000 range nightly anyway, so it hasn't really changed that much. Our firework nights do really good. We had Billy Wagner the other night. We had a great crowd for that. So, those standalone big nights are always really good. But, any night I can expect to see maybe 700 to 900 folks in the ballpark.
That's good. I mean, that's consistent right there. That's what you want. That's what you want. Well, that's good to hear. I know because the league has been such a traditional stalwart in minor league baseball for all those years, all those decades, and so many those ballparks are so entrenched in their small communities, and it was really just a complete gut punch what baseball did.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was not many people outside of Appalachia realized how big the league meant. Especially in Bluefield. And I think it's the same in every pocket in the league. Bluefield, it was, the older folks was like, this is where Cal Ripken played. This is where Cal Ripken lived. Cal Ripken dropped a ham sandwich right behind me one time, those stories. And then you fast forward to the Blue Jays days, like, hey, Vlad Guerrero hit one over the scoreboard one night, or Alejandro Kirk, watched him play. So, there was no business for baseball fans of Bluefield, more so Baltimore, but Toronto. There was no business for Bluefield baseball fans to be Toronto Blue Jays fans. But once the Blue Jays came in there, they were, and they locked on to that team. And, I think Major League Baseball did a disservice to all these small towns because that was their link to the big leagues.
That's 100% right.
And you kind of took that away, and that's definitely one of the biggest downfalls of what has played out over the past couple of years in the Appalachian League.
No, that's a great point. They're so focused on the cities, the markets, and you're right. It doesn't really matter in their minds. I'm talking about from Rod Manfred and baseball decision makers. What happens in these other communities? That the heart and soul of America, the backbone of America, that's kept baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet back in the day. Right? Those commercials showing you go through small, dusty town road communities. They just said, you know what? We don't care about you anymore. Basically.
No. Yeah. It was sad too because. There's a lot. You saw a lot of good baseball. I saw a lot of good baseball in the Apple League. I mean, there's you could turn on a Yankee game now and see guys that you called.
Yeah, Anthony Volpe. It's like, hey,
yeah. We always joked in the press box. I won't mention names, but Volpe was always. I guess some young intern had a crush on Volpe when he was in town, and we would always joke with her about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So every time, you might
get that date after all. You never know.
Well, I hope the league can thrive, and maybe one day when baseball has new leadership, it'll revisit all of this. But who knows at this point? I don't think we're going to have a season next year with baseball, so it looks like that's
a great time to come out and watch Appalachian.
There you go. Exactly. Spend your summer in the App ballparks. How are things going on the Bluefield College front? Of course, different world in which college athletics portrays itself at your level. But still, you know what? The people that work around that league and people are happy. They understand what their identities are pretty solid, aren't they? Unlike what we see in the bigger conferences going around.
Yeah, it's I think one of the biggest things for me personally, and you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from this for what you do is just the turnaround in athletes. Bluefield State football, I don't know if we've kept 20 players the same over the years, and that does a lot for prep. My SID gave us our football roster for what we have right now for the coming year. And I'm just looking through names and I'm like, well, I kind of know who that kid is. I got to dig deep and find out who this is. I've never even seen that name in my life. So it's just one of those things like doing kind of some sort of prep to know what you're getting into is something. They wrapped up the CIAA Media Day the other day. I thought Davon, Brandon, and Kamari are players who win, and our coach did a real good job of representing us. We were picked 9th, which isn't last, so that's a good sign. We've got a favorable schedule early on, in my opinion. So you never know what's going to happen. But I took the wife and the kid down to Pigeon Forge, and then we took a little detour past Tusculum. I said, "Yeah, we'll be here in a month." Our first football games at Tusculum on a Thursday night. So, and my wife's pretty anti-sport. She's like, "All right, tell me when we're getting to the diner. I'm hungry."
Where do guys go? Like when your roster turns over like that, are guys just graduating, or are they going up different levels? Where are guys going when they exit a program like Bluefield?
Yeah, some are graduating, some are transferring up, some are transferring in conference to situations where they think they can maybe play a little bit more or get their tools utilized a little bit better. So it's just a hodgepodge, really. We see some kids who, I've seen some kids who were 3rd on our depth chart go to another school in conference, and then they beat us up. They're the starting tailback somewhere, and they run. But those things kind of happen in the D2 world. It's really there's no rhyme or reason to it, and that's excuse me. That's kind of the great thing about it is there's no.
That's yeah.
Who knows what's about to happen?
Yeah, it's never boring, right? It's never boring. But yeah, that's the way it is for us at Radford. I mean, we're going to have 12 new players every year. I mean, it's just they're not. I don't want to say they're not representatives of your school, because I guess they are for the year they're there, but they're not Highlanders. They're not. If they leave immediately and they're 1 and out, they're not part of your threshold of your university in any way, shape, or form, right? And that's the toughest thing for me as a broadcaster. That's been the toughest thing. I don't know if it is for you. It's just kind of what it is now, and I understand everybody's doing the same thing, and it's not. I'm not blaming the kids at all. This isn't. It's just the system that I blame. It's created all this.
Yeah, one of my biggest examples to this is we had a kid a few years ago. He graduated, and he's actually working with some pro teams on, maybe, join a roster and like a G League or something. But he played all 4 years at Bluefield State. Honestly, and this was during the Devin Hearn era. He has since left and went to Fayetteville State, which is a whole story in itself. But I don't know how Devin got him to Bluefield. I don't know how we kept him in Bluefield. He was all conference his junior year, and we had some D1s knocking on the door for him. And, no one would have said, "Hey, we're mad at you for leaving." And he stayed and played his senior year and ended up conference player of the year, All-American. And he's one of those guys, like, I think that showed the modern day, today's athlete, that if you stay and commit, like, you can do some great things and still get noticed at the D2 level.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Scouts are everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, and some budgets and some recruiting areas are not the same for schools, and you never know who might show up and be there. That's exactly right. And it sounds like your coaching staff has that in mind. And I love that, because at your level and, lower mid-major and Radford, I mean, coaches have to have that in mind, don't they? They have to understand that, okay, well, this is something we can actually sell our program on. Ironically, it's what Todd Grantham talks about at UAB. You're selling your program on the fact that, okay, if you want to get to the next place, you want to get that big payday, you need to stay here and develop under us and then move on, right? It's a tough sell. It is for yourself, not necessarily the kid. So.
But that is definitely, a selling point. If we, Luke D'Alessio is now our men's basketball coach, and, he is as locked in with D1 talent as anyone is. And, he was an assistant coach at that level for a few years, and he knows what it takes. And I think that's kind of any small Division II or even small D1 coach, hey, I can get you to that next level, whatever that next level is. If you can ingrain that in these kids, then you can have it may be a flip flop of a roster year in and year out, but you can put a decent product on the field or the floor or what have you.
Well, I don't want to blindside you with this, but I want to bring this up because I know it means a lot to you. But you had a great post about your grandfather. And I know what broadcasting has meant to you and what sharing that experience with him. And I know he has passed on, but you had a great post. Can you talk about, just summarize what it is now when you go to that press box now, how it takes on special meaning, maybe more so than it ever did before?
Yeah. And it even goes back further than that. My grandfather was like my father as a kid. And, he was an old, tough coal miner, and his coal company would get us Virginia Tech tickets once a year. So we would go to Blacksburg, but usually, how I really got ingrained in sports was him. Like, he was big into baseball, and we would go to the ballpark, and that's really off track. That's what's so big about Bowen Field to me now personally, because that's where I grew up with him in the ballpark.
Yeah, sure.
But, we would sit in a 1987 Ford Ranger and listen to Bill and Mike call Virginia Tech games. That's, and that's what I think that's what really was the baseline of what I do now. And I've told Roth this. I think I may have told him that a few weeks ago when I saw him in Winston-Salem, but just the fact that you can be told a story so clearly by guys with talent like Bill and Mike is something I strive to do every time I turn a microphone. But, sports was so huge with me and my grandfather. One time he got really sick, and he had just got a new satellite system. So he had the Masson channel. My grandmother would go to bed and he would rewatch the Nats games, and he got sick. And I walked in to the hospital room. This was years ago. And the first thing he said, the Nats bullpen is atrocious. I said, well, I think you're doing all right. But,
you feel better, aren't you?
Yeah. He would come hang out in the booth with me. And part of that, if you check out my website, ZachHilton.com, shameless plug, but that post is still on there. But one of the things, I try to make just snarky comments and use humor throughout my broadcast. And anytime he was in the booth, if I'd say something funny, I would glance at him. And if I could get kind of a grin out of him, I knew I said something funny, because he wasn't really like a vocal big laugh or anything. But if I could get a little grin out of him, I knew I was doing something right. But sharing the booth with him was always special, and just having him hang out and be a part of what I did was awesome. And I'll never forget it. He was always one of those folks that, any dream I had, he was like, go for it, and, he'd always like, don't go in the coal mines, but do something you love. And so, here I am, just ranting, gallivant with you at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
I bothered him yesterday. Hey, can you?
Yeah, I was like, I was sitting on the couch, and here's a text from Rick. I said, well, I guess I'm going on the radio in the morning.
That's right.
Man, yeah, you are one of the great people in this business. We were down Winston-Salem at the NSMAs, and just talking to Bill and everybody, and it's great. One of the great things about this business is all the people you get to meet.
Yeah.
And sports are not life or death. So, I may come to Radford and you guys beat us up, but we're going to shake hands. We might end up at a somewhere having a beverage after the fact, but it's still going to be a good time.
And a lot of times that's more exciting than the actual game.
Yeah.
You can't wait. I can't wait till after the game.
Just bypass the under 4 timeout. Let's keep this rolling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, I'd be remiss before we let you go. I'd be remiss. What's your favorite new pair of socks?
Well, I've got a stack here. These are,
ladies and gentlemen, we're talking. Was it 10,000 pair? Is that where we're at?
Oh no, we're closing on 1,000.
Oh, 1,000. Okay, I thought
these are never been worn.
I was checking that.
I'm
number
trying
up,
to. Yeah,
1,000 pair. Okay, what
and
you got?
This entire thing right here, this tower is is a tote full of socks. Someone sent me the Guinness Book of World Records is obtainable, I think.
You think you can get it?
I think I can get it. I'm going to try. I'm going to try if my wife doesn't throw socks out when I'm not looking.
How much do you go through pre-preparation for the pair, or sometimes you're just doing a blind grab in the wardrobe there?
Non-game days, it's a blind grab. I just grab and throw on anything. But game days, when I'm trying to, so those who don't know, I try to tailor my game day posts to promote the broadcast via the socks in some way, smart or otherwise. But I try to tie it together. Hey, the Bluefield Ridge Runners coming off a big win, trying to grasp the the West Division like an octopus tonight.
Yeah, I see there.
Something stupid like that. But yeah, those put in a little thought. Actually, I will sit and I'll have 3 or 4 pairs laid out. And I mean, what do I want to do for Saturday's football game? Do I have a problem?
Well, no, it's your thing. Do you have them organized by category, like animal, history?
I did at one point.
Food.
And that didn't last long. Yeah.
So now it's just okay.
It's a hodgepodge. I think there's a pair of Waffle House socks next to a Santa Claus pair of socks. None of it makes any sense.
Well, that's okay. The world, it's madness. It's madness.
It is madness. It is madness. Yeah.
Where are you guys this week? Where are you at? You playing tonight? You got a game tonight or?
Mondays. So Mondays are the off day now in the Appy League. They're in Johnson City Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't do the road games anymore. Since the child was born, I've been told to stay off the road.
I understand.
You can put what and what together. But honestly, the way it works now, everyone has the video stream. Everyone has, so
Correct.
It's kind of last year, the only time I traveled was, I think I came to Pulaski when we clinched the division, and then I went on the road for the playoff games. And if we were to make another run, I will do that. But I stay off the road in the summer.
Sure. Well, you have to. You got a couple more important things to keep in mind there. Yeah. Well, congrats on everything, man. You're definitely one of the good people in this industry, and congrats on the young family and everything else, man. I appreciate you jumping on today. Good luck.
Well,
good luck to you
anytime,
guys,
my man. Thank you so much. Take care.
We don't do this enough. We don't do this enough. We got to do this.
Yeah, you call me anytime. I'll get out of bed. Maybe my makeup folks will get up next time. Take care of Hammond up there in Radford. She does a good job.
We will. We'll try. We'll do our best.
Bluefield State gave her to Radford. What did we get back in the trade? Did we get a washing machine or something?
I think it's still to be named. Yeah, I think they haven't decided the appliance yet.
there's a microwave on the side of 460 en route to Bluefield.
If I see her today in practice, I'll go, hey, so what if you were going to be traded for an appliance, and I'll mention you, what would it be?
Yes.
We'll see what she comes up with.
Yes. Then I'll get a text from her. Like,
yeah, exactly. What did you say?
I said a nice dishwasher.
Yeah, there you go. Very nice, brand new. Yeah. Get a nice Kenmore. We'll even get a name brand.
8 settings.
He said you're good to go. It runs very smoothly, but yet your dishes will be crystal clean.
Oh man. But yeah, she did a tremendous job with our program. She our volleyball program was in a tough spot, and she walked in and flipped the script and made us a competitor, and then she goes back to where she graduated from, which I can't blame. It's kind of how it goes. We talked about athletes wise, coaching wise, it's kind of how it goes as well. We lose coaches going back to their alma mater.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We got a request now in chat. We'll have to get you and Davon Morgan, your coach, on Hokie Great.
Hey, I think we could probably do that. We could probably link it up.
Yeah, let's work that out. Maybe he'll do that here soon. Let me know.
Okay.
Let me know. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, talk to him, man. Tell him we're awesome.
Okay.
All right, brother. Have a great week, man. Safe travels,
man.
All right, man. We'll be in touch. Thanks, brother. There you go. It's Zach Helton. There you go. Voice of Bluefield College and Bluefield. Everything Bluefield is that guy. He's really good, very good at what he does, and an even better dude. So you don't find that combination as often as you think in this industry. Sometimes you have a trade-off there, but not him. Yeah, we'll work on that. There you go. Good suggestion, Wayne. And he will too. Zach will follow up. Some people will tell you they'll do things and then you don't hear from them ever again. Not him. Not him. All right, let me let Creed back out here. And I got to respond to a text. Hang on. Come here, buddy. All right. I wish I had that dude's energy. But anyway. All right. So I won't put a name on the text, but we were talking about this with Coach Elmo and this individual. Look, I always appreciate people texting and reaching out and giving their opinions. But the crux of the text, as we were talking with Coach Elmo and things that we were just talking about with Zach, was that all this that we see is on the athletes, that are on the young people. And look, I understand there's a lot of entitlement that goes on. We saw it last year at Radford. I'm not going to put a bunch of different flowers on it. Some of those guys that came in had a different kind of mindset, and I think there was a lot of living and learning going forward. But you got to keep in mind, this is not on the athletes. This is not on what we're seeing happening around all of college athletics. Has nothing to do with that. You've just trying to find certain blame to throw on these. We get a lot of faces attached to the dollar amounts, and we see a lot of movement. So you see all that going on in terms of the publicity part. And I don't like it when, kids are having press conferences, having signings of their new contract deal. And I think that takes a little too far. And look, I'm not arguing about the negative visual that it is, but you got to keep in mind, this is everything that's happening are the adults in the room threw up their arms. They're still doing it on a daily basis, not doing anything that they're paid high salaries to do. This isn't on the young people. I'm sorry. I know it's frustrating, and I know we get frustrated the lack of loyalty. If a kid comes and plays at your school for a year and then they move on somewhere else, is that really on the kid, or is that on the system that's implemented because nobody did their job? Trust me, there are too many people not doing their job around college athletics today, which is why there's this never-ending sieve, right? So I know it's easy to look at these young folks, and again, I'm not dogging your text, okay, at all. It's how you feel. That's how you feel. And I'm not saying some of these kids, and maybe even a higher percentage of kid than I know at the higher levels, come in and they've got, okay, this is what I'm getting. Let me have it. I'm not going to practice. Maybe they come in with it, but they're going to be weeded out pretty quickly. But the system in place is allowing this movement. It's allowing these demands. The market is what they are dealing with. They know what the market is. They have advanced handlers, agents, so forth. Chris, you can speak to this. You work with a lot of these. I mean, you're worth what the market tells you you're worth. I say this a lot. As much complaining as we have seen, who's doing anything about it at the highest level? We see budgets that are shown on X, on social media. This is what we're losing. Oh, my goodness. How are we going to keep up? Who's doing anything about it? Is that up to the kid? Is that up to the athlete to do something about it? Or, hey, this is our system. This is what I'm getting. Look, I don't like it as much as anybody else who's a traditional college sports fan. This isn't how we grew up. This isn't what we're used to. We used to see guys come into Frank Beamer's program and develop for 4 years, and many times they'd go to the NFL or they would leave a lot better football players and get their degree. I get it. Nobody's as frustrated as a guy who works at a school, especially at a school like Radford, where the lineage and the tradition of Highlanders, people who came through, they wanted to be at Radford. It just seemed like it meant something special. We're not going to get that anymore. That's been my biggest adjustment, but I don't put the blame on the young people. If I go back and I think about where I'd be 18, 19, 20 years old, and I had these opportunities that were never afforded to any athletes before because of the old system, don't you think I would take advantage if I were a 5-star quarterback that could sling it and I had a market of 4, 5, 6, whatever it is? And I just asked the texter, put yourself in that situation. So I think a lot of the blame game, yeah, it's easy because those are the guys that we're watching play. And I know we hear about the salaries and it's sickening, but this is not on them. It's failure every day throughout college athletics. Who's doing anything about it? Do you hear anybody in the SEC actually doing anything about it? The Big Ten? Do you hear Notre Dame? Anybody doing anything about it? We get a lot of fluff talk about how, well, this is unsustainable. But who is actually trying? We're getting ready. We had a 5-year rule that was implemented. I saw a couple more lawsuits come down yesterday. The 5-year rule is going to fail. There's not any rules, and it's not going to stop. Yeah, there you go. They do it with a 40-year-old mindset. There you go. Exactly. That's a good way to put it. So, again, let's hold the adults. And Big Al said, hey, are they actually adults? Okay, let's hold the people that are getting paid a lot of money because, as you're growing up in life and you get into a job, the people who make the most money or the money are the ones that are being rewarded for being the smartest people or the people that are in charge, right? The bosses make the money, but what evidence is there out there currently in college athletics that any of those bosses are actually contributing anything? All right. Just look around. What did Coach Elmo just say? Your guy's getting paid $10,000 just to come visit. $10,000. I don't know about you, but how many paychecks is that? $10,000 if you're going to work 5 days a week. Tebow says, what kills me is guys getting paid and never ever see the field or court. Yeah, absolutely. Or they didn't play very often. Morris says it's simple supply and demand. Market constraints dictate. Correct. Once the NIL gets open, what did people think would happen? Right. The attorney, Ryan Pry. We have a good fan question. Thanks to Wayne, by the way. We're going to debut tomorrow. I think they call it the Peter principle. People rise to the level of their own incompetence and peter out. That's a great way to put it. They get to that level. They placate enough information, what they need to tell their superiors so they can keep their money coming in. And that's what's happening throughout college athletics. Nobody wants to take responsibility because either they're taking advantage of the system because of their own resources. Look, the SEC and the Big Ten is going to have resources that no other league is ever going to have. But the easy thing to do is to transfer all the blame on the kids. Where's the loyalty? Where was the loyalty of head coaches and ADs who have left, administrators who have left? Where was the loyalty of all these coaches? We had more coaching turnover this past year than any we've ever seen. Now, some of it were guys were getting fired. And they're going to go leaving to go make a lot more money. It's been that way for generations. Than even these highest paid kids are making, not even close to the same. So the recipients get the blame, but the recipients are what keep us coming back to the sports. We're going to be sitting there, and even though it's VMI and we know what the outcome's going to be, we're going to be watching Tech open up on a Saturday night against VMI because we want to see Ethan Grunkmeyer. We want to see the Brown kid out of Duke. We want to see some of these defensive transfers. We're watching the entertainers for us as fans. That's why I always take the players, no matter what league you're talking about, I always take the players' stance. In the NFL over the years, I've always wanted the folks that entertain me to get theirs because I already know the people in charge already have theirs. Every NFL owner is a billionaire. Every Major League Baseball owner is a billionaire. I'm always going to side with the players. Now, baseballs may look at it a little differently. They're going to miss probably the whole 2027 season. There's no salary cap. There's no salary floor. But whose fault is that? Again, it's the people in charge. It is frustrating. It's not good. It's not ideal. I understand it. But it's kind of like in politics. Why is it always a mess? Because the people there have either been doing it too long and they make their money, they're in their bubble. Nothing ever gets solved. Well, that's where we are with college athletics. Nothing is getting solved. Nothing. And it'd be one thing if we saw more of a concentrated effort. We see one thing get thrown out by the NCAA, and it's already held up in court. We've seen no counter argument at all from the NCAA. It's almost like when those first lawsuits hit, they went, all right, well, we tried. We tried to make it a system of 5 years and an age limit, but yep, oh well. In one breath, there's schools in these power leagues that will talk about how terrible and unsustainable it is. And then 2 days later, they put out a post on X. We are prepared to spend $60 million on it. So what I'm saying is there's always been an assumption throughout mankind, throughout the generations, throughout the different eras of the United States as we built up through the turn of the century, the 20th century, all the way through world wars and growing this country into the power that it is. And it's always been assumed that the people who make the most money therefore have to be the smartest or therefore have to be the most credible. Well, guess what? College athletics is the one example that we have to where that's not the case in any way, shape, or form. Because if it were, we wouldn't be in this situation. If somebody had opened their eyes 30 years ago, then the Ed O'Bannon case never would have made it to court and never would have been completely and utterly sustained. They pushed it, ignored it, lied. They completely gaslighted everybody into the old system. You're getting an education, that should be enough. Meanwhile, hey, here's something for you. Hey, there you go. Hey, they're probably sitting around drinking their whiskey at the end of the day. Hey, this kid's just getting a scholarship. Look what we got. I've shown you pictures of my new boat. So anyway, I work in college athletics. I know how bad it is. I know the advantages that these athletes have now that they never had before. You know what I say? Good for them. It's long overdue. It's not regulated. That's not their fault. They're going to ask for certain things. And you know what? If somebody gives it to them, were they wrong to ask? It's the ones that I know that ask that end up somewhere else and they take what they can get. But if somebody gives it to them and is giving them indication they're going to get it, does that make them wrong for asking? Who are you going to see when you go to watch Virginia Tech play football this year? Yeah, you might want to see James Franklin on the sideline, but you're going to watch the players. You're not going to go watch the new administration they've hired. You're not going to go, for all those other reasons. You're going to watch the people who entertain you, and that's the athletes. It always has been and always will be. And if we'd have had something in place 40, 50 years ago that made sense, somebody would have had, hey, why don't we look at an NFL model here? We're making a lot of money. Why don't we look at a pro sports model? Because at some point, these kids are probably not going to be satisfied with this anymore. But you see, presidents were so dug in the old school, presidents have had to be forced to be more athletic, hands-on over the decades, as opposed to just being complete academia. Athletics is what it is. It's looked at as being like any other subsidiary group on campus. Well, now you can't do that anymore because the money got too big. It is now the one industry that is controlling many of these campuses, and they haven't been able to evolve to control it. I don't know where it's going to end up. I don't say this pretending like I have any idea. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. So all you can do is hope that your program, which is what Virginia Tech's doing on a daily, weekly basis, what are they doing? We're going to figure out a way to make more money than we ever have, because they see it the same way as everybody else right now. It is a money race. Let's go. And now they feel like they have the right coach in place, and given his track history, to attract a certain level of recruit, a kid out of the transfer portal. Because now he can back it up. He doesn't have to just go on the relationship. Here. Okay. All these things combined, but especially that last thing, I'm going to go to Blacksburg for a year or two. Evolve or die. Harrison Nichols told me that years ago when all this started. He's exactly right. No, thank you, Tebow. Thanks, everybody who came out. Thanks to the Super Bowl. It was a blast. The Bash was a resounding success. Hopefully we can plan it a little better next year and get with people's schedules. I'd love to have Chris Lester there and some of our other folks. Maybe we can kind of work on a weekend that's a little better for them, when like Dwight or Jen or other people could be around, David Smith. But we'll figure it out. But thanks to the Super Bowl. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Thanks to you. I hope your Monday goes pretty well, and we will talk to you again next week. Take care, everybody. Well, next week. We'll see you tomorrow.